p.m. revolutions per minute this Saturday noontime, celebrating your day. Stay tuned because we have another interesting topic and guest for today. He's from America, just to have a glimpse. Stay tuned because we're going to talk about how you are being coached and how to organize your company. That's we'll be talking about partly OD, but partly how you have become who you are, right? For being a celebrity yourself. All right, and for all our listeners out there, good afternoon or happy noontime, happy lunchtime, and it's October 31. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
So for all those going for trick or treats, don't eat too much of those sweets or you will have tooth decay. And for those older people, be careful with your sugar problem.
We'll just go for the tricks instead.
Yeah, just go for the tricks. All right, you never know what tricks might be waiting for you in each homes. All right, for all our listeners out there, good afternoon to Mrs. Mercado, to Mang Hernan, to Lita Ramos, to all our avid listeners also in California, Mrs. Malyari, and all over the world. If you are tuning in today, you know who you are. Good, happy noontime. This Saturday, happy Halloween day in the Philippines. Of course, without much further ado, I'd like to welcome my long-lost co-host, Miss Vicki Martinoff.
Thank you so much, Auntie. And now I'm found, right? And for those of you who are still finding their names at the precinct and lining up at the really, really huge Makati Coliseum, waiting for your turn to be called by the public, good luck. And I really admire your patience there.
For
good
voting?
afternoon. Yeah,
For
for
the
voting,
voters?
for the voters.
Don't worry, I'm still lining up whether I'll be qualified or not. And that's lining up will be on November 4. Yes, and my favorite hero, because of that book, Develop Your Exponential Power, that made me more powerful than ever, Mr. Bjorn Martinoff, the
Hey,
author.
and good afternoon. Happy to be back. Also, MK, very good to have you back from your travels, Thailand, and all those exciting things. Maybe you can share a little bit. I'm excited also to have Michael here, Michael Milbier, who will be sharing a bit about coaching and the upcoming coaching summit in the Philippines.
Yes, and without much further ado, of course, before you hear him, let me read to you about him. Actually, while waiting for our turn online, on board, on the radio, I was just asking him where he was from, and he said he is from Massachusetts, USA. You know, that's the first song I learned on the guitar. Phil, I'm going back to Massachusetts. Well, you know that song if you're my age.
I thought it was born in the USA.
We're on my way to San Jose.
Yes, but that Massachusetts thing is very good, and I think there are a lot of histories and culture to talk about Massachusetts. Maybe we'll have a glimpse of where you're from. And he is a widow. Our sympathy, of course. His wife passed away early at the age of 35, and he's searching for a nice girlfriend who's willing to give babies. Because he said,
lots and lots.
Yeah, as many as you can. Because there's some women nowadays who want to get married and don't want to have babies. So it's better when advertise it in full.
And no better place than to raise young children than
Yeah.
the
Philippines,
Philippines.
And Bjorn and I are the managers, so if you want to call in, give me a call later at 0977-174-8384. Actually, that's also the number where you can text in your questions to join in our discussion. All right, so his name is Mr. He's OD coach, organizational development coach, and a personal coach, executive coach, right?
Yes.
Do you do also private counseling, like coaching privately?
Yeah, I do executive coaching and I do life coaching when it's requested for individuals.
Okay, maybe when I get to know you better, you might coach me later.
No, sure.
Okay, let me read something about Mr. our coach, Mr. Milbier.
Yes, that's correct.
Steven?
Michael.
Sorry, that was the first one. Michael Milbier. And that sounds German, he said.
It is.
Partly German?
I'm half German and half Irish.
Oh, even so interesting.
Yes.
Irish blood. I wish you were older. Because I like Irish guys. Don't get conscious there. Okay, we'll have a summary of who he is, Mr. Michael Milbier. It says here, no, shall we tell them first where you went to school? But anyway, I like the summary and labeling. So it says here, he's focused on top performing executive, delivering over 15 years of success in learning and organizational development. Dynamic leader offering a record of building global talent management, learning and organization development functions, or OD, at top Fortune 100 companies and in technology startups. Is that our Mac 100? When you say Fortune 100 companies, that's worldwide, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Wow. So he's also known for building and leading high caliber teams that achieve measurable results. Recognized for extensive expertise in creating and conducting executive coaching programs, global learning and organization development, and succession planning. He is also known for strategic change agent. I like that. Who's our another strategic change agent?
Roland
Another
Sullivan.
superstar.
He's also
Roland
from
Sullivan.
Massachusetts.
And he's also from Massachusetts.
Then he must be good then.
Oh, yeah. I like that. That's why.
Actually, he's the world's number 3.
And that's why they're good at organization.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, he's from Massachusetts also, and he's also a strategic change agent. I like that word. Providing experience in startups. If you're just starting up with your life, joke, just starting up with your businesses, mergers and acquisitions, and maturing environments, and instituting initiatives to drive change. Whenever you want to change, just go talk to Michael. Even change for wife and husband. As he said, he does private counseling, right?
I do.
So
I've done
you
couples.
can call me, and I'll give you his whereabouts. Okay, his specialties are executive coaching. What is ICF, ACC?
I'm a member of the International Coaching Federation, and I'm the national chapter. International chapter, also Manila chapter as well.
Correct. Okay, good. So also leadership development pipelines, which what is pipeline?
So simply put, when someone comes in as a manager in a company, all the way up to the CEO,
And you become the pipeline.
we help them create a pipeline to show them how you can be a manager and go all the way up in the company.
Oh,
What
like that.
what skills you're going to need and experiences you'll need, and we help develop programs to help people get there.
So instead of a ladder, you use a pipe.
Yeah, or a ladder.
Right? Is that what it means?
Yes.
Okay. So, and also performance management. That's his specialty. And organizational and team effectiveness. And online learning.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
Succession planning and 720-degree feedback. Oh, we want to know about 720-degree feedback. Certified in the following instruments. Oh, there are instruments to be qualified in this one. So PDI 360, what is that?
So 360.
It's not medical, you know. It's,
I know, yeah.
So in real simple terms, you ask for feedback from all the people in your life, and then we summarize in a report, and then we show
Wow.
you your top 3 development areas.
So like sort of modules or how do you call that? And there's another term for coaching. Anyway, so these are the instruments. And MBTI.
Myers-Briggs type indicator.
Okay, and TKI.
It's a conflict assessment, how you deal with conflict in the world.
I love those. I must learn this.
It's good for couples.
Oh, good for couples. TKI. Okay. Firo B.
Fibro B.
Oh, Fibro B.
Yeah, it helps you understand your need for control, inclusion, and affection.
Oh, I need that. And strong interest inventory.
That one is really cool because it tells you where your career interests really are. So then you focus yourself to what your career interests are instead of doing something that someone else tells you to do.
Are you expensive? I need that now.
Sure.
I need to talk to you. Okay, and CPI 260.
It's a psychometric instrument to assess your capability as an executive.
Oh wow. And then CPI 434?
That's an advanced version for senior executives.
Oh, for the higher executives.
Yes.
And in MSCEIT, Emotional Intelligence. Is that the brain mapping?
No, Mesquite measures your emotional intelligence to see how well you understand your own emotions and that of other people in your life.
Oh, do I have to take an examination to know that?
Now, actually, it's helpful. It's hard. It's hard.
It's written or
Yes,
is
it's
it
written.
verbal?
It's a written assessment.
Oh, really?
If you want, I can have you take it.
Okay, please. Then I can really advertise you because a lot of people would like to know their emotional intelligence and quotients. All right, without much further ado, let's hear from Michael Milbier, Massachusetts, USA, now in the Philippines.
So thank you so much for the very kind introduction. Michael Milbier, an executive coach and OD consultant here in Makati, Philippines. I've been coming to the Philippines since 1995. I've had a lot of great Filipino friends as an undergraduate at the University of Massachusetts. By the way, they're some of the best hosts in the world. So as I said, I've been coming here for over 20 years. I've lived in the Philippines now for over 1 year. I've started my own practice, the Milbier Group, where I do executive coaching and OD work. Also doing a fair amount of work with companies also in BPO around trying to help them be more effective in their organization. So that can include talent management, performance management, management training, also obviously executive coaching as well. So provide a whole host of services for companies based on their needs. So I focus on what their need is. I don't push anything in particular. I try to understand what their needs are, and then I develop a custom solution for them.
You know, there's a need that we're going to talk about later. Okay, that was his voice. And would you like to know where he went to school? Okay, he went to Fielding Graduate University, studied evidence-based coaching, executive coaching 3.90.
Yes.
And also at Fielding Graduate University, he did Masters in Organizational Development. And University of Missouri, Columbia, education, is that ED?
Misery?
Missouri.
I love my time there.
Me sorry.
Missouri.
Missouri or misery?
Columbia or Missouri. Okay.
I think it's
What is
Missouri, right?
education
Missouri.
in
Missouri.
adult education? Is that ED?
Yeah, it's an educational degree specialist in adult education and
Oh
training.
wow! I will be needing you one day if I'll be working somewhere.
Okay.
Okay, University of Massachusetts, Amherst, MBA Management, wow. And University of Massachusetts also Amherst, bachelor's degree in political science. Hey, you can be running for Senate in USA with all this background. All right, and of course, yes, political science. That's very good because we need guys like you in this country. I think, would you like to work for the government? Like, you really have to organize them well, you know. They need organization.
They pay really well.
Organizational development.
I'm happy to help if they want me.
So you have also a module, or how do you call that? An equipment instrument, an instrument.
Muscles.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes?
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, I want to look at that. So like if for the presidential management stuff, you have that. So do you depend your modules on the needs, like you said, right?
Yeah, so I focus it on the needs when you're working, for example, if you're working with the president of a company or the CEO of a company, you try to understand what their 1 to 3 development needs are. And then you can also look at what are their organizational needs. You try to look at both. So if you're working and trying to help the government, you would want to do the same thing. What would be the 1 to 3 development needs for a political leader, a president of a country? And then what are the organizational needs of the government? That would be your top priorities. And then one of the best coaches around is Marshall Goldsmith, and he always says to focus on only 1 to 3 topics so you can successfully improve on them. If you take too many topics on, you won't be successful.
Wow, yeah. That'll be too diversified. They cannot focus,
That's
right,
right.
Vicki?
Exactly.
But we need a guy like Michael. Actually, we need guys like you, like Mr. Bjorn Martinoff, very busy Martinoff, great in organizational development. But is your job as a coach also entails like you can do political grooming for a candidate?
Well, I used to work in politics in the U.S. back when I was much younger. So I wouldn't take a candidate on to groom them to be a politician. What I would do is try to help them develop and focus on what they want to work on to be a better professional or a better individual. So I would have a conversation with them, we would identify areas of interest for them, and then I would coach them on it.
Oh, I mean for a certain position.
For a certain position, yes. So for example, if they said, I am a congressman now, but I want to be a senator, one of the things that we would do is look at what are the competencies required to be a senator. If you wanted to move up and you wanted to be the president of a country, what would be the competencies and leadership qualities that you would need, and then you can work on those.
Oh, that's good. So do you know already the culture of the Philippines?
I have
More or less.
I have an idea what it is.
You should be married to one like Bjorn, then you will learn the culture faster.
I agree.
I think Vicki still has some single sisters.
I thought we were talking about senators and congressmen.
Now, so what can you say about the Filipino as a whole and a culture?
Very friendly people, excellent hosts, as I've said, thoughtful, a bit shy sometimes. You know, they invite you into their house with their family and friends and make you feel part of the family, which I think is one of the best parts of the culture here. They make you feel very welcomed and warm. And I would say conflict averse.
What do you mean?
So it's very hard if there's a disagreement with you and Filipino to understand if there is a conflict, because they usually won't tell you. So for example, when I was an undergrad, a couple of my great Filipino friends would say, why don't you come to dinner with us? And they would say, when they didn't want to go, they'd say, I'll follow you. And then they would never show up. And then we would ask them, we said, well, how come you never show up? They said, well, we had dinner with someone else, we just didn't want to tell you. We said, that's okay.
That's why RSVP was invented for the Filipinos. Because, you know, in the provinces especially, if it's your birthday, oh boy, you better, if you expecting only 20, you better make that times 100. Really. You know, that's the culture here.
Yes.
And if you live in the urban city like Manila, then it's okay. Now RSVP is accepted, right? And others will not feel bad, but still they will feel bad if you forgot to invite them, you know. But now if people are getting more matured and more American and Western-like, so when you don't get the RSVP, you know, then that means you're not invited. And if you get the RSVP, you better call back. But some people don't even understand what RSVP means. Do you know what RSVP means?
Yeah, that's why I cannot pronounce that.
S'il vous plaît. Yeah, it's reserved, please.
Yeah.
On reservation, please. Right?
So that people don't spend money on food that doesn't get consumed.
Yes.
Right? It's a big way.
Or you can calculate how many people are coming for seats and chairs, comfortability and space.
Because we've organized parties in the past, maybe 10 years ago, and the organizers would tell us, oh, you know, usually only 60 to 70% show up. Of those who even make reservations, right? It's like, oh.
So this is one of the culture of the Philippines. Yes, when you want to invite them, make sure it's RSVP. So they will call you back at least. But you still have a secretary to remind them again that there was an RSVP in that. Because sometimes they might not read it. You should make a big RSVP from the beginning of your invitation.
It sounds like California, because I lived there for 14 years as well.
Yeah?
Yeah, I lived in the Bay Area. In California, people will typically sign up for 5 parties, and then they'll shop around and find the best party to go to.
Oh my, and then they will give you a late RSVP.
They may not even tell you in California.
Oh, that's very impolite.
Or they may show up for half hour and go to the next party.
Yeah, go to the next party.
Hour.
Yeah, they party hop, yeah.
They do party hopping, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but then again, that's okay if it's not a sit-in dinner.
Yeah.
But if it's a sit-in dinner, that's so embarrassing.
I don't think they care.
Yeah, sometimes, you know, it's immaturity. I did that once. Did you know that I was invited by President Suharto?
Wow.
And that's the only seat that was vacant was me.
No, what happened?
My husband, of course, would like to go under the table because I could not make it.
Sorry.
What happened? Filipino time? Or?
Yeah, I said,
Okay.
I said that's why it's called immaturity.
Oh, okay.
But if I have to live life again, I would like to be in all those seats for dinner.
Oh.
But because it's I've tried to invite people, RSVP, sit-in dinner, and really you feel so bad because they could have invited other people who would love to be in there.
Yes.
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 Yeah?
Then you have an empty seat, right?
Yes. So let's talk about you.
What would you like to know?
What made you go into this business of coaching?
That's a fantastic question. Originally, I wanted to be a teacher. And I just love the thought of sharing knowledge, helping others learn and grow and develop. And then I went into corporate training because I couldn't afford to be a teacher because the salaries were too low. So I went into corporate training, and then I started doing management training, and I did compliance training for an insurance company. And then I did my MBA, and I became more and more interested in leadership development and management. And then I went on to graduate school in Missouri, University of Missouri, Columbia. I continued my education there and did adult work in adult ed. And then I worked for Ernst & Young, where I did a ton of work in change management, leadership development, and then started to learn about coaching. And then I went to work for Levi Strauss after that. And then Levi Strauss is one of the best companies to ever work for because I worked on the executive floor with the chairman and the CEO. And they loved it when you wore their jeans every day to work. And I'm wearing Dockers today, and I'm wearing a Dockers pants and Dockers shirt. I'll always wear Levi and Dockers. It's one of the best companies ever. So just a great plug-in for Levi and Dockers.
I'll judge you later.
But I really learned the craft of starting to get more into coaching at that point and organizational development. And then I took another grad degree with Fielding. And that's where I really started to master coaching and also organizational development. And it really made that the focus of my career. And that's where I do most of my work now is mostly all organizational development and coaching work now.
Yeah. So, but that's a good start, don't you think, Vicki? To be a teacher, it's good. That's the first way of practicing before you become a coach, because then you can facilitate better, right?
Actually, when I was growing, learning about coaching, it's very rare to have the coachee be addressed as a coachee. I always hear the word learner in that engagement between the coach and coachee.
So, who's the coachee? The learner?
The learner is the coachee.
The student, you mean?
The student, yeah. In the relationship of teacher to a student.
Yes. Oh, a coachee and a coach, right? All right. So, and you like what you're doing?
I love it. I get to see people grow and develop. And to me, I mean, obviously I like to get paid for my work, but I have also done a ton of pro bono work here in the Philippines since I've been here. And it's been some of the best work that I've ever done because a lot of people don't know what coaching is here. And so I get the opportunity to work with them. And since there's no charge, they can afford it. And then they begin to know what coaching is and then they love it.
Yes. I think coaching, Bjorn, is not yet... there's not much awareness yet. What do you think, Vicki? Because in America, every professional who's got a name in the industry, in any industry, they will have a coach.
Absolutely. If you're especially on the West Coast, if you ask someone on the East Coast whether they would like a coach, they go like, "What? Is there something wrong with me?" But on the West Coast, you tell them they won't have a coach. What do you mean I will not have a coach? Is there something wrong with me? You know, it's like anybody who is someone, anybody who has even the littlest of importance, will have a coach. Because if you're not important, you don't have a coach. Yeah, it's like an athlete. If you're an amateur, of course you won't have a coach. But if you're a professional athlete, if you don't have a coach, you're not really a professional. Right?
So
And
regardless of your professionality or your greatness, you still need a consultant or a coach to talk to.
I think a person will know when he or she needs a coach. Like for example, there was a time when there was this mom who referred to me by a friend, and her friends are really asking her, why would you get a coach instead of a legal advisor? And I did tell her, you better get yourself a legal advisor, besides getting me for your coach, because her concern at the time was very unique. And at the same time, when I listened to her and when she was with her friends, because she wanted to introduce me to her friends, so I don't know if she wanted to justify the reason why she got a coach at that time. But when I observed her when she was being with her friends, you know how friends are, right? They know exactly the right thing to do with your life, right? So they were really raining advice after advice on her. And after observing her for a while, the level of confidence she has for herself and her words in the next few minutes, I didn't feel her confidence anymore. She was like really lost, and she has this confused look on her face, which was very, very different whenever I was with her in our coaching session. Which means, for anyone who's really confused and really don't know what to do, really consider getting a coach. Because if you're going to be depending on the people around you, as your source for your confidence, for your next, not just 10 years, but 20 years probably, depending on the impact of your decision at the time, you really got to start thinking about getting a coach.
So tell me, do we need different types of coaches, like a financial coach, emotional, private engineering, life engineering coach, right? And what else? Corporate coach.
The biggest ones are sports coaches right now.
And a sports coach.
It's huge.
Yeah. Because
Health
you might
coach.
hurt yourself. Health coach.
Yeah.
Wow, you need so much money for all the
Physical
coaches.
fitness coach.
Yes. Sometimes you can do one-on-one, but wow, it's so expensive. Wow, if I have to get all the different coaches, I need a financial coach. I need one to coach me where I'm going these days.
A soulmate coach.
Or you are my soulmate coach. So why is it so important? Let's go for the financial coach. You can give your advices. Do you do financial coaching?
I do not do financial coaching. I worked in the industry. I think it's important to have a financial coach so you understand what investments you're getting into, you understand the risk that you're taking, you also understand what the potential returns will be when you make an investment. The hardest thing is you don't want to ever mislead anyone in a financial transaction because they could lose hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. And I think if you don't have money, it's hard to live.
So do you do this financial coaching?
No, I don't.
So those are the people who hold the investment
Advisors.
investment banker advisors. And so why do we need a private coach, life coach? Vicki, answer that.
I only accept life coaching when they are referred to me by someone else. If it is a friend who we've been together for a really long time, and then all of a sudden, pops the idea that, can you coach me, a life coaching? I really ask her the question, are you sure? Because it's a very different relationship. Because I've really seen a transition, I also have clients who eventually become friends and would sometimes resort back, for example, to the career issue that they had. That's why they hired me. And I would try to inject, for example, coaching in our conversation. It's not the same.
It's different.
I could imagine, because with a friend you can tell anything, and then with a friend you have to be blunt, but as a coach you have to show both, whether she likes it or not. She has to choose the ones that she doesn't like, something like that. Is that why you are kind of balancing whether she's really serious? Because when I'm your coach, I'll be very formal.
If I'm a friend, I will rally for her. I'm going to be her cheerleader, and she knows it. But if I'm her coach, I will be so objective. She
And
doesn't
weigh
know
everything very
exactly,
clearly.
and I will never give her any answer. Just questions to clarify. Whatever issue she's going through. And a lot of times people get frustrated about that because they want to be told what to do. And they also want to, please, especially when, you're a very close friend. I want whatever answer I have will be pleasing to you. And so the follow-up question is always, is that right?
Yeah.
And so I know.
So do you always ask? I was watching Oprah. I think she has a new coach, and she was asked or to say, what are the things that you really want into your show, and why are you doing the show? And he said, it's asking because it's nice to ask what do you want? Is that the most common question for coaches or for a company also like Bjorn? What do you want in your company? What do you want? So he said this is the best question you can ask the people because then you start building a relationship. You know, so what do you want? What do you really want? And where are you in wanting to have that?
If you want to do life coaching, and by the way, Vicki hit it out of the park. When a friend asks you to do life coaching, it's a completely different person that you're talking to. And she did a great job of clarifying to say, I'm not your friend when I'm coaching you, I'm a coach. And I'm going to be objective and dispassionate and ask you hard questions and powerful questions and reflect that back. So it's completely different.
And they have to not hold back.
They have to not hold back, but if they're expecting you to be a friend and you're not, then they get upset. So you have to set very clear boundaries when you're going to do life coaching with friends who are
And
close.
does it mean if you're my life coach, I have to tell you everything?
No, you only tell me what you want.
Ah.
It's up to you. And also in coaching, the client owns the content. The coach owns the process, the questions, in helping you guide you. But the client owns the content, the coach doesn't. In training, the trainer owns the content. Okay, it's different, so they're different relationships.
So coaching is guiding a person, let's start with personal coaching, guiding the person to what she wants to achieve in life.
Well, you help do that through powerful questions, reflecting back. You can use a hypothesis about what you're hearing. You can do visioning with them. There's different techniques.
And then what do you do? Do you do your homework where you're going to write down what you've talked about for the day and you try to analyze it yourself the best way you can advise her?
Well, when you're in the session, I try to only take a few notes because I want to focus my attention on them. So I don't take a ton of notes. I only take things that I believe are critical.
Oh yeah, so important.
Only critical. I mean, you're not really there to be a note taker. Only for key things. That's how I operate. You also have to be very careful what you write down, and you have to be very careful where you store that information. There can be private information in there.
That's true. Huh?
Right, so you have to be very careful.
So it's not like the psychiatrist wherein they have a recorder. You don't do that.
No.
Do you sometimes become a psychiatrist for the private coaching?
No, that's not allowed.
But sometimes it can happen, right?
Well, there are clear guidelines. You have to clarify that if you're coaching, you are not a counselor, you're not a psychologist, a psychiatrist. You cannot portray yourself to be that. There are very clear guidelines. You can also get into a lot of trouble. So you have to be very clear with your client and what you can provide. If a client if they've experienced a traumatic issue that they have not resolved, you should get that out when you contract, and you should make sure that the person sees a mental health professional that's appropriate for them.
Oh, come on. When you're going to say, hey, I want to take those medicine or thing, or you're going to say, okay, it's up to you. But instead of the coach say, well, if you do this, do you still give them choices? Like, hey, if you take that drug, this is going to happen, and you'll be sluggish tomorrow, and you have something to do tomorrow, like for an athlete. And if you don't do it, then it's better for you.
Not when it comes to medicine and drugs. They go to the doctor for that.
No, I mean like a drug to put them to sleep, to relax them, to breathe the drugs.
My response would be, if anyone asks me anything about medication, I refer them to the medical professional.
Of course, you're not allowed to prescribe or say anything.
No, I can't.
That's what you're meaning.
Especially because I'm from the U.S., the liability laws are very strict and very severe. So if you get into an area where you're not and the client gets in trouble, you could be criminally prosecuted and sued.
Okay, going back to private coaching, because you can be a health coach, right? And if I'm a health coach, I would say, okay, according to blah, 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 it is science and logic. If you take this, it's going to happen. Is that allowed?
Well, for example, I work out at a sports fitness center here in Makati, and they have trainers there, and they are certified to go up to a certain level, so they can stay within their level. I don't know the specifics, but they're certified, so they can take you up to a certain point.
Okay, so you cannot suddenly, because in the Philippines, if they ask you a little bit, you still have to be sweet and say, oh, if I were you, I won't do that, but I'm not your doctor, it's your choice. No, I'm just giving you the culture. Because you say, Uh-oh, it's not in my contract.
Well, I would be very diplomatic.
What do you say, Bjorn? I mean, a little bit culture of the Philippines. Sometimes you really have to say your no so nicely in a nice tune.
I think it's not just in the Philippines. I think that works everywhere. You know, it's just that maybe in other countries people will put up with it more easily, but it doesn't mean it doesn't work there too. You know, to be polite and give people choices and be unobtrusive, you know, or unintrusive. You know.
Yeah. I like that. It seems Bjorn really have that development of exponential power with all the virtues and values and principles and how to handle a client. He knows his his product. But yeah, so now going back to corporate, and the three of you can answer this. So why is there a need in this country? Some companies. Have you worked for, especially for the Filipino companies? Why do we need corporate?
I'll let Bjorn.
Have you been talking or been handling a lot of Filipino companies, and what problems have you gone through? Why these companies are not flourishing the way they should?
Yeah, we've dealing mostly with multinationals, to be honest with you, but we also deal with some Filipino companies. And in general, we see that there's a bit of a leftover of a culture of how it was when the Spaniards were still here, right? People are not treated with the respect that they should be treated with. Sometimes people are more seen like they're a gear in the machine, or even the machine, or some equipment. But there's issues with that. I personally have issues with that, because when you treat a person like a machine, then you press a button, you know what happens on the machine, you press a button, they'll execute, and then after the machine executes, what does the machine do? It just sits there and waits for the next instruction, because when we treat people like machines, maybe at the beginning they're kind of like, huh? But after a while they start acting like it too. They just start to adapt to the expectation, and then they're like, oh, I guess that's what they want, so I'll just act like a machine. Of course they don't use that term, but that behavior will show up, and it's not very productive. It's not efficient, you know. It doesn't get the results. You know, you'll need 5-6 people for what one person can do if you treat them like machines.
Yeah, and you know what I see a good reason why there should be an executive coach or CEO coaching, because sometimes it's so hard, Filipino to Filipino, to implement something new, or especially if the person who is giving the implementation was just newly promoted, then they will say, oh yeah, she's just got, and then she's starting to, and Filipinos as new executive level and that who wants to implement something, they also feel that insecurity that, oh, I don't want to do this, they might think that I'm trying to behave, you know, or making use of my new promotion or like that. So I think really, if you have this kind of problems, which you ask probably, right? Like dissemination of information sometimes from higher ups to the lower levels of executives. Sometimes they have miscommunications, or they're so conscious that they're mere misinterpreted.
Yeah, right along with the machine metaphor, right? We see that there's a strong tendency towards behaving more like a manager rather than a leader, right? And those are distinct differences.
Yeah, I like that. When you said never call yourself a manager, say you're a leader.
Yes. So that's what drives me. That's what inspires me, and I like to develop leaders. And I feel because there's different levels of leadership. Like the first level of leadership is really leading yourself, right? If I cannot lead myself, how can I lead others? I will not have the credibility to lead others, right, if I cannot lead myself. The next higher level would then be leading followers. The next higher level would be leading peers, and then leading leaders. So as we develop as leaders, we go through these levels, yeah. And when you really look at it from that perspective, then if you start with leading yourself, everybody in an organization should be able to lead themselves, ideally. Right? I'm talking about an ideal world. And when that happens, the term and the function of manager is actually no longer necessary. It actually gets in the way, right? And it's a bad thing. It's like putting on the brakes on a race car. You know, you don't need to put the brakes on a race car all the time. You know, you just need to put the brakes on before you hit the turn, right? But
Yeah.
it's really not necessary anymore to have managers. Managers are only necessary when you deal with machines, people who are acting like machines, or people who cannot lead themselves.
Ah, so for robots and machines only. Because they have to manage those robots and machines. Just
Otherwise,
like needs a key and an on and switch on.
that's right. And that's why my prediction for the future is that the term manager and the term management, they will go away in the future.
Oh.
Right? And they will be replaced.
So it's going to be by leadership training.
They will be replaced with leaders on all levels of the
So
organization.
no more management training, but they be called leadership
Leadership
training.
training.
Well, in
yes.
our church actually, we call it leadership training. Not management training, leadership training.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you want to build leaders who would like to lead.
And management and lead manager will probably become a bad word. You know, it'll be even an insult. You know, that's my prediction. It's not that way yet, but that's my prediction.
Yeah, and probably in the coach lingo, that would be not too nice anymore to say, I'm the manager.
If you actually look at the history, right? Like, how did the word management actually become part of our world, right? And there was a time when, you know, my background is industrial design, pure design. And so when I embraced this pathway...
You can coach an actor in the Philippines.
You can actually coach anyone because the content is owned by the person. Bjorn makes an excellent point. The more experience you have in working in a specific industry, the better you probably understand some of the challenges that they face. So I've done a lot of work in manufacturing. Manufacturing and BPO have very similar issues because you have 24-hour operations,
Okay.
high pressure, very strict deadlines on when you need to be in, a lot of command and control issues. So my experience in manufacturing is very helpful in working with a BPO company because they have a similar environment.
Okay. And what else have you worked with?
I've worked in high technology, I've worked with research, I've worked with PhDs who do research for...
Oh, so for research.
And research scientists are very different. When you come into the room, you better not tell them what to do. You better be very well prepared, you better have your facts down, and they will challenge you, and you can't take it personally. And they may even say to your face, I hate coaches when they first see them. And I've had that happen from directors. They say, I think coaching's stupid, I don't want to do it, and you say, well, let's have a dialogue. So if you engage...
You mean research also? In science?
They're the toughest ones.
Wow.
Yeah, they're the toughest ones. Because they have PhDs, sometimes multiple degrees. And so they're very skeptical that you're going to bring any value to them.
So they think their expertise is better than yours.
Because they already have the FDA stamp
Correct.
of approval,
Yeah.
so they're perfect and intelligent.
Yeah, but sometimes we really need coaches to remind us where we belong, to give us the balance of life sometimes, right? Because sometimes you think, I know it all, but sometimes you're overboard that day and you forget it, right?
And so as a coach, you cannot lose confidence when you're faced with clients like that. Especially, I work with a lot of CEOs, and if as a coach I couldn't match that confidence that they bring, to the discussion, then they will not even hear. They cannot even hear what I'm saying. You have to be able to be with that and also be an equal to them at the same time.
So, Bjorn, in your position, you can drive your way to be a coach for a senator, right?
That would be easy.
Oh, that's good.
That would be easy.
What was your question?
I could
Drive
be-
your way?
I could be a coach for presidents of countries.
That's good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Because few presidents actually have the experience that most corporate leaders have. And so there's a lot of catching up to do and a lot of learning. And ideally, if someone gets newly elected, they get themselves a coach early on so that they get off to a fresh start. Imagine if you have a 4 or 6 year term and then you waste a year or a year and a half or 2 years just figuring things out. But having a coach is like a shortcut. You know, it's like a bridge to a quicker, faster, better tomorrow. Like something. Why not do something today instead of doing it tomorrow, right? Then that leaves you an extra maybe year or two to then finish what you were there to accomplish. Imagine you're the president of a country or a president of a company, and let's say a lot of expats deal with a situation in the Philippines. They come for 3 years. The first year they're just trying to figure things out. The second year, and maybe I sound a little sarcastic, but it's actually how it's happened. The second year, they're kind of thinking about what to do. In the third year, like, well, it's already too late to do anything. Might as well just wait it out till my successor arrives, right? And so very few things are happening, and it's not that different in politics.
And before they even go into being a president, they should have already that vision of what they want to be, what they want to do, right? What they want.
Yeah. So if you vote for anyone, may not be any level of politician, even a barangay captain or a senator or a president, listen very carefully to the picture they have of what they want to create for your barangay, for your province, for your country. What does that look like? If they don't have a vision, if they don't have a picture of what that looks like, that means they're completely lost.
Correct. There should be a
They're lost. How can they go somewhere where they don't even know where they want to go?
Yeah, so they should have a blueprint actually.
Well, at minimum, they should have a destination, right?
Yeah. You know what Michael mentioned earlier, the stop, the start, continue.
Yeah, and then the continue.
But, it's very, very deep, when somebody that's very clear about what are those things in there.
So those are the 3 basic things: start, stop, and continue.
If you follow that model, you can work wonders. You don't need a consultant for $1,000 an hour to come in. You can do this very simply internally. If you want an excellent coach, one of the 3 of us, we can go in and do it for you. But I prefer to use tools and techniques that are simple and easy to understand, because most people don't care if you say you're an OD consultant, you're an executive coach. They don't really care.
Yeah.
They just want things that are simple and effective and that will help them in their organization.
Okay, I'll tell you when it's effective. I'm going to do that with my daughter. Start. Okay. Stop.
Continue.
So going back to continue. So what do you do in companies when you say those words continue? What do you get?
Well, continue could mean, like, for example, if they have like a good bonus plan or they have a good merit plan. The continue was the fun part, because that means that's really working well for them.
And you don't want to forget to continue doing that. Sometimes we're so focused on problems that we're just focused on the problem and forget all the good stuff that's already working.
And if I've been working for this company, can I say start giving half-paid pregnancy leave?
Yes.
On the 7th month.
Yes, you can.
Because if I would be in politics, I would like in the 7th month a woman should already be off the work, half paid, just like Europe and other parts of America.
Okay.
And
Europe is very good on that.
Yeah, because
they're very progressive.
Very progressive.
Progressive because the woman will be happy, and if you have a happy employee and healthy employee, he would work more, come back to the office better, and even the husband.
But I think they don't have enough babies in Europe as it is.
They're under 2.
They're under 2. Yeah, means for every 2 people or every couple, they only have like 1.8 or 1.6 babies.
And in Denmark, they're given 9 months off, actually, the wife. And 6 months off for the husband.
Wow. Let's move to Denmark.
Germany.
Yeah, I know. That's why they're happy people, right?
Yes. It's actually the happiest country on earth, they say.
Because their kids are fed well with breastfed milk.
Yes.
How could you feed your kids naturally when our executive women are in the office during breastfeeding hours? So have you ever been given such a start on a company saying, can we have more pregnancy leave or better accommodation for pregnancy leave?
The answer is yes.
Yeah, that's good.
And so what we do is I summarize it, and then of course the employees know what they've given us, and then we share with them what they keep. We summarize everything, and then we start working with management to say, here are the key issues. We need to address them. you need to make a choice. Do you want to work on pregnancy leave? It's an issue for them. It's a big issue. I won't name the company that I work for, but childcare was a huge issue.
Oh,
Correct.
sure, yeah.
And so one of my proposals was to bring on-site childcare and just pay for it. And I said,
Yes.
you'll keep parents there for 15 years.
Yeah.
Correct.
And so that was one of the proposals that we came out with. And we came to a compromise with the company. We bring it on-site, pay for half of it.
You know, I have a business idea actually of having a child care
Mhm.
wherein everything is with CCTV, wherein you want to check on your kid, you can just see the
Oh,
kid.
Yeah.
There's
And
equipment
then
like that is
we
also
will hire
available.
professional nurses and a doctor on board, a pediatrician on board, of course, and put it somewhere where all the big companies are located, the global and here in Makati. And you know what? I think the women can work better
They do.
and concentrate better. Have you noticed if you're like, that you just gave birth and you let them go in already? I've seen companies when I was a guest to their company where the wife said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Checking whether my maid was giving the feeding already to my kid." So instead of concentrating to what's supposed to be, they are also getting many few minutes of
Oh,
those
yeah.
few minutes of their
Absolutely.
working hours.
Let's talk a little bit about coaching industry. How do you've been here for a year. How do you
Yes.
see the coaching industry in the Philippines specifically compared to the rest of the world, maybe also the U.S.? And then also there's going to be a coaching summit next week, right?
Yes.
So maybe start a little bit about how do you see it in the Philippines? What's your impression so far?
So my impression after being here for a year and going out and talking to companies is they understand training here really well. They get training and like doing team building, that's very popular.
Yeah.
When you say coaching, their eyes kind of glaze over a little bit and you have to explain what coaching is, how it's a little different than training. And so it takes a little bit of time for them to understand that.
Yeah.
Also, there's a cost factor. So if it's individual coaching and you're coaching an executive, of course, it's more expensive. So you have to explain why it costs more, right? And then if you want to do a small group coaching, you once again have to explain how that process works and what that entails for maybe 3 or 4 executives. So I do group coaching for executives. I do one-on-one, of course, as well. But it takes a lot more time to explain it.
So you're saying that the market still needs to be educated.
There's a huge amount of education that needs to be done here. I lived in Singapore for a year prior to coming here.
How is it there?
The Singapore market completely gets it now, but when I was there, one of the experienced coaches said it took Singapore around 10 to 15 years to get it. Now it's so competitive in Singapore, all the major companies there want coaching. But it took them about 10 to 15 years to get to that point.
And they have coaching for just for the top executive or for the entire team, or how does it work in Singapore?
So in Singapore, I have a lot of experience because when I was in the U.S., we had an office over there, a very large office, and so we actually did a lot of working. So typically for Singapore, because it's very expensive, we would start with the director and then go up to the VP and then of course SVPs. And then if they had the money, we would work with senior managers or middle managers. But typically that's a fairly expensive solution for the middle level managers.
Yeah, that's my next question. How's the ROI on that? There's like people see that's a big expense, but do they measure what's coming back or?
Yeah. So when I was in Singapore with a different company, I actually did an executive coaching program for executives in Thailand, in Singapore, in Malaysia. And so what we did was we set clear metrics of what they had to accomplish.
Okay.
And we did a survey with their key stakeholders. We measured the response, and then we measured the response after 6 months of coaching. And on average, we had around a 90% approval rate.
Reduction.
And a 90% approval rating in all their key areas, based on the survey data. Now, you have to remember though, this is one-on-one coaching. It's we were meeting every 2 weeks. They had homework assignments. We had a senior vice president sponsoring, and I would give updates to him about once a month. And their HR business partner every 2 weeks.
Okay.
So we had tremendous support. Without that support, the results would have been 0 because they won't do it. You have to have very strong stakeholder support at the senior level for this.
Yeah, of course.
So there's a coaching summit next week. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Are you involved in that? Or?
Yes. So the Philippines chapter of the ICF, International Coaching Federation. I'm a member of that chapter. It's a great chapter. It's a growing chapter. We're actually, the last session where I was sworn in as a new member, they had 6 new members. So there's some great stuff going on here in the Philippines. We have our first ever ICF Philippines International Coaching Summit. It's called Igniting Transformation. It is on November 6, 2015 at the new Marriott Hotel in Manila Grand Ballroom. We have some world-renowned speakers coming to us. We have David Peterson, a PhD from Google. We have Marcia Reynolds, who's also has a PhD as well and is an executive coach. We have Damien Goldvarg. He's also an ICF Global President. He also has his own consulting company. We have Ellen McDarsh. She's the Chief Energy Officer of McDar Communications. Those are 4 of the top speakers. We also have several breakout sessions. I'll actually be we're offering free coaching at the end of the session. I'll be one of the coaches doing that. Once again, we're trying to engage the audience to show them what coaching can do. And we have over 600 people signed up right now. And there's still a few seats left, but we would love to have people come and attend it. You don't have to be an HR or coach to benefit. If you're in business and you want to see how coaching can help your company, please come. We'd love to have you.
And it's 8,000 pesos, no?
8,000 pesos, which is a bargain.
And how do they sign up?
Let me check for you.
This is the one in Conrad's?
No.
Yeah, Conrad's too, yeah.
Yes.
He mentioned it.
So you can call at 812-3277, or you can send an email to info@icfpssummit.com, the summit. Okay, so you can do either one. But once again, we would love to have you come and join us. It's a great opportunity to see what coaching can do. We're very excited about it. And I think there's a great growth opportunity here in the Philippines.
Especially if you're an HR head, right? Or
if you're an HR head, if you're a business leader,
development leader, if you're a business leader, if you're a CEO, this would be a great opportunity to check it out.
Yeah, because this ties into a point that you made before, Bjorn, around we don't want managers, we want leaders, and we want leaders who coach.
Yes.
We don't want leaders that tell anymore. We want leaders who coach and guide us.
Yeah. And when is that again?
It's on November 6th, 2015. It's at the new Marriott Hotel, Manila Grand
Marriott.
Marriott.
Oh, Marriott.
Yeah, November 6th, that means it's next Friday already.
Yes.
It's near Resort World, right?
Yes, it is. It's right there.
Oh, okay. 8,000. So we don't get discounts?
Marilyn wants to go for free. Can you arrange that, Michael?
If I
We'll work on it.
go.
Yeah, maybe all of us we can go for free. Maybe Julius can give us free tickets.
We'll work on it. How's that? That's my firm commitment.
Okay.
Because we are teaching the people an awareness here of how why coaching is very important.
You're actually, this is a great public service that you're doing today, and I personally appreciate this radio station and you taking your time to do it. So I say thank you to you and your radio
It
station.
interests me too, you know. So I know because I've been talking to friends who are who are trying to do their candidacy for different seats and positions, and they were saying like, oh, how are you gonna organize this? Well, I said, you know what? All you need is organization development coach, and he'll write down all the things we need to do. You know, so I've been telling them that really you need a coach. You need whether it's political, whether it's corporate or personal, you know, endeavor. Because a person can be alone, but she's engaged in her businesses, you know, private businesses. So a coach is still very good. I think so too, especially in your countries. In this country, they don't believe so much in the personal coaching because you can always talk to their grandmother, to their mother, to their aunts, to their ninangs and ninongs, and a friend, you know, whether you like it or not, they'll just blurt to you their problem, and your ear will have to be there. Unlike in America, you cannot even open your mouth. They will say right away, I have no time for that. Right? In this country, you cannot say that to your friend, I have no time to hear with that. But there were times when I have a friend, 100 times she has to tell me, same problem. I said, okay, my ears hurt already. You made up your mind. Tell me when you change the tune. Right? But coaching is really, really, really very, very important. But it's kind of luxury for private coaching.
And then
but
coaching,
for corporate...
if coaching, if somebody keeps repeating the same story over and over, what that means to me as a coach is that the person hasn't been heard. They feel like they have to repeat because they feel like whoever they're talking to is not really listening, you know. And so that's why people keep repeating again and again and again. So if you're not listening properly, or at least not listening in a way that they understand that they've been heard, then they will start all over again.
Yeah, like my girl.
And again,
says-
and again, and again.
Yeah, and she says, I want to leave him. I want to leave him. He's got a girl. He's gonna leave him. For 5 years, I already told myself, leave him. Now, if you're not ready, what do you want? I said, there are times, as you said, I like that. Maybe they keep on repeating because they're not getting the answer they want. Until one day I said to him, what do you want? And he said, I still love him. Why do you love him?
They were gay?
Yeah. But anyway, at the end, so that was the answer. Okay, then come to me again when you say, I don't want it anymore. But in the meantime, it seems you still want it because you still don't tell me that you are getting out. Anyway, okay, in a summary,
Thank you, MK. I also have an invitation for our listeners who really are ready to have a change also in their life. Happening on Wednesday at 7:30 at Power Plant, Rockwell. Wonderful Kabbalah astrologist is happening and visiting for the very first time in the Philippines. So be there, 7:30 p.m. and find out.
It's
how you
gonna
can
give
change.
a like sort of forecast for the country.
Also for the country. So if
Really
you're
for the
there, so
country?
you better be there.
I want to be there, sit next to you. Would you
Okay.
buy my ticket? I'll pay you. Well, I have to get one. All right, so Bjorn?
Yeah, so if you're up to anything in life, get yourself a coach. Otherwise, you'll always be an amateur.
Yeah, and let me know which one do you want to coach, Vicki, Bjorn, or Michael, or me. I can teach you how to cook well and how to massage your husband very well. All right.
Okay. We won't go into the details.
Michael?
My parting thoughts would be, don't be afraid to talk to a coach. They'll usually give you 15 to 20 free minutes, so please explore it. Most coaches are very friendly and they're down to earth, so please check it out. It's definitely worth having the conversation.
Yeah, and you're going to give me 1 hour instead of 15, 20 minutes free.
That sounds like a deal.
You buy the coffee.
Okay, Philippines, again, I hope we have given you some enlightenment on coaching. And really, as for me, if you really ask me, if you can afford it, go for a private coach. Especially when there's so much lingering in your thoughts that you cannot decide on which to do in your life. They can always help you be guided onto that path you want to go. And they will know what you really want. They can dissect the things that you really want and how to get there faster. And for those people with companies and you are struggling, why your company has no growth and you have problems with your people, of course you should go for CEO coaching.
Maybe they're also struggling with very rapid growth. That's a different
Or too much
challenge.
that's another
challenging,
It's a
rapid.
challenge, right?
That's a good challenge.
That's a very good challenge to have, and still, a coach can be very helpful.
And you need to organize that, you
Yeah.
know. So OD is very important, and we have all these coaches on board and RPM revolutions per minute. So give us a call anytime at 0977-174-8384. And if you want to inquire, you want to join that summit coaching, which is given by ICF.
ICF, yes.
Let me know. Give us a call on board DCRJ 810 AM. Thank you so much, Michael. And of course, my beautiful host and co-host being here for helping with the topic. And thank you, Philippines. Oh, how